Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to the program. A little later on, we're going to be chatting with PRRD Board Chair Brad Sperling about the year that was, including backcountry closures. We've had a story update on that yesterday. You can check that out at energeticcity.ca. We're going to be talking to him about that as well, though. And also their efforts in mitigating the healthcare worker shortage in the piece and so many other things to talk about as well. But first, it was another tumultuous year in Ottawa under a minority Liberal government, with a fall election returning another minority Liberal government during the second year of the pandemic. So to chat about the year that was in Ottawa and, of course, in northeastern BC, we're joined now by our Member of Parliament for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies, Bob Zimmer. Happy New Year to you, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year to you as well, and all the gang at Moose.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this. All right, I want to start with this one because it was kind of it was a big story, obviously, in early December. The conversion therapy bill that banned it finally went through, and it went through very quickly after it kind of ended in the previous session because the election was called. This was something that you had voted against before, and you had talked about the language in the bill being a problem. But then, as I said, it was fast-tracked very quickly in December in the new session and unanimously fast-tracked by everybody in the House. So I want to ask you a bit about how that decision came about with the Conservative Party and maybe what changed your mind about it and why you decided to support it in the end.
Yeah, the previous C6, as most know, I was one of the 7 that voted against it at second reading initially, and then there were 63 of us that voted against it at third reading. It didn't pass. It didn't make it through the Senate before the election, so it came back to us again at C4. So the language in the bill itself, it actually does. My main concern was the conversations between parents and children and or a pastor and their congregation. I was concerned that somehow those would be made illegal. And with the language that's in the bill, C4, it makes provision for those conversations still to happen. And what I've said for many of the constituents that have reached out to me to ask sort of for an explanation of why, it's also backed up on the Constitution. So you still have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, etc., that will protect those conversations. So in that event, I didn't oppose the bill this time.
Okay, so in other words,
the new bill this time.
Yeah. So without you forcing you to say good job to the Liberals, they did make a change and they made it better, and so it made it so that you could support it then.
Yeah, I mean, it just the fact that it had passed through very strongly in the House the last time, it was going to happen again, regardless of us. So it was. I just made the decision that I wouldn't oppose it this time, so that's why it went through fairly rapidly, as many of my other colleagues chose to do the same.
I do want to bring up the election because, as I said already, it was a Liberal minority before. We had an election. Not much change, maybe a few seats back and forth here, but we still have a Liberal minority government that you're in the opposition of. That short session before Christmas was, I think, 3 weeks long or something like that, not even a month. What was it like in the House when you go through such a rapid session where the government clearly wanted to pass that conversion therapy bill, that banning conversion therapy bill and other things? What was it like in the House during that time?
Yeah, well, it took quite a while to get back to the House after the election. It was inordinately long. Normally there's about 30 days or so, roughly, between the end of the election and the start of the sitting. And we were, I think, at almost 60 days or more. And so it took a long time to finally get back there. But when we finally got back, I was the new shadow minister for Northern Affairs, Arctic Sovereignty, and Northern Economic Development Agency. And so I had my file and got up to speed on that and was asking some key questions of some of you have maybe seen them. My questions to the Foreign Affairs Minister, Jolie, and some other questions in the House, and frankly didn't get very good answers. And that was kind of symbolic of a lot of what we were pushing the government to do. We got a lot of non-answers and concerned about the lack of understanding of some of these very important files, and really who's in charge of the government. It's really concerning right now. We have some foreign issues that are whether it's Russia or whether it's China or it's others. We need a government that's understanding the significance and severity of what's going on. And we saw, even with the few weeks we were back, we saw clearly they don't get it. We did, I would say, achieve one success in that, Arctic sovereignty wasn't on their radar until I asked several questions of the Foreign Affairs Minister. And because the mandate letters came in much later than usual. And then all of a sudden, Arctic sovereignty's in the mandate letter. So we just we'll keep up the pressure and hope that we can get things done even in opposition.
Okay. I want to go forward a bit now, kind of looking forward to what's going to happen in this kind of third year of the pandemic with COVID-19 restrictions and whatnot. I mean, you wrote an op-ed about this that we published yesterday. Aaron O'Toole, the leader of the Conservative Party and, of course, the official opposition, talking about this recently. The Prime Minister didn't mince words about what he seems to think about unvaccinated people and where their position is in Canadian society. What are you hoping for from the government moving forward in terms of policy here as we continue to get more vaccinated and hopefully move out of this pandemic and the restrictions that have come along with it?
Well, I think first of all, us as a party, we've right from the start, people have asked what we've done, and we're fighting for access to vaccinations right from the get-go, and rapid testing and all the rest as options as well. But to really see the Prime Minister come out with such a frivolous attack to fellow Canadians, to call them racists and misogynists and saying they're anti-science, it's just simply not true. And to make such claims like that and offensive language, as I said in my column, it's one thing for a neighbor to say that about his neighbor or her neighbor. It's a completely other thing to say that, and that's even unbecoming. But for somebody that is the Prime Minister of the country to say that about one of the citizens they represent is reprehensible, and I said deserves an unequivocal apology. We'll see if that happens. I hope it does. But, it's Prime Minister has apologized for other things. I don't see it coming for this. But my hope is that he looks in the mirror and stops dividing Canadians. Because, here, this is the Prime Minister that was supposed to unite the country, remember? Sunny ways, etc. And I have never seen a more divisive Prime Minister in my life than this guy. So anyway, all that said, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of concerns about our economy and the future, not to mention the biggest issue right before us now with Omicron and COVID, that as well. So we're looking at getting back to normal as soon as possible. We've talked about we have to learn to live with this virus. I think we've seen that we can't seem to escape it, so we need to learn to live with it. And how can we do that the best way possible?
Now, speaking specifically of the file you were assigned as the shadow minister, I mean, you kind of mentioned Arctic sovereignties back on the table. What's kind of the things you're going to be pushing for the most in kind of your capacity as that? Obviously, you want Arctic sovereignty to be talked about more and discussed. Is there specific things you're looking for from the government or that you're going to continue to bring up that hope you get talked about and maybe even introduce policy in the future in regards to it?
Yeah, well, it's showing up. Like when we were in government, our Prime Minister Harper, would go up regularly to the Arctic just to assert ourselves, assert that this is Canadian territory. And this Prime Minister hasn't done that. And yet we have the question I asked about Russian aggression in the House was we have Sergei Yegorov, who is the Russian foreign minister, who has laid claim to all the seabed basically in the Arctic and its resources below. So when he makes a statement like that, and it doesn't seem to be refuted by this government, well, if you say that enough, pretty soon you might see an oil well or a gas well being drilled within what we would recognize as Canadian territory. And with the opening of the Northwest Passage and the warming and making that a regular route now, it's still frozen most of the year, but it's becoming open for parts of the year. We need to define what is Canada's there. We need to make sure we have a presence, and frankly right now it's been abandoned for the last 6 years, and we need to get back there and assert ourselves again.
All right, so from this Prime Minister and the Liberal government, you'd just like to see them talk about it more, maybe even a presence up there, as you said. Former Prime Minister
Absolutely.
Harper was up there a lot. You'd like to see Justin Trudeau at least visit the place and say, hey, this is Canada.
Absolutely, amen to that. So it's showing up. That's what I plan to do as soon as I can get up there. We have to look at the ways to get up to some of these Alert Bay, Resolute, and some of them are hard to get to even in summer. So we're going to get up there and have a look around. We want to have a presence there as well. We've also talked about NORAD and updating NORAD, and it's 80s technology, and we're in 2022 now, and it needs to be updated. It's been advised to us by the military brass it needs to be done. So that's another thing we'll be pushing for. And again, Canada is a great country. We need to make sure that we stay that way, and we need to have a presence at the G7 and others like that, and take ownership of our country, for goodness sake. And so that's what we plan to do. We plan to show up. There's a lot of other issues with my files too. There's Northern Affairs, which is really a lot of northern issues, whether it's infrastructure or it's access to fresh food or it's you name it. It's kind of the broad scope of everything in the north. And the Northern Economic Development Agency is really just to see that the economy's developed in the north. And I'll be part of my travels will be asking what they're looking for. What do they need? What do they need from government? Often it's, government to, we don't need more regulations. We just, we need to keep those doors of trade open and see what we can do to make that happen. So it's a big file, but I look forward to getting up there and showing up.
All right. Well, one final question for you, Bob. About a minute left here.
Sure.
What else are you most looking forward to then, kind of in the coming year in your role, kind of as your member of Parliament, as we know for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies? Always hard for me to remember the whole title there, but just in kind of representing your constituents, what are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah, it's the most rewarding part of my job, honestly. We've had so many people come into the office. We've had a recent immigrant that just became a Canadian citizen. He was so happy and came in, and we gave him a flag and took a picture with him. And it's those kind of things, or it's somebody dealing with a family member around whatever the issue, whether it's a CRA issue or you name it. Our office, we help people. That's what we say in the office, and we do, and we do our best. We don't always aren't always as successful as we'd like, but again, it's the most rewarding part of my job, and our staff in the office is just to simply help our constituents. And we'll be looking to do a lot of it. The offices are very busy in Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, and Prince George, so I'm sure it'll be even busier this year.
All right, Bob. Well, we really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today, and I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot as the year goes on, as we always do. Thanks, Bob. Look forward to it, Dub. Take care. We'll see you soon. Absolutely. That's Bob Zimmer, the MP for Prince George, Peace River.
.ca.
Welcome back to Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Now we have a lot to talk about with this next guest because it's, of course, been a busy year as always in the Peace River Regional District. So to discuss some of the things that went on and update us on some of the stories we've been following for years at this point with some of them, we're pleased to welcome Board Chair Brad Sperling of the PRRD to the program. He's on the phone. How's it going today, Brad?
It's going good. Enjoying the weather. I think like everybody, we're a little chilly out there, so this is kind of nice, our good old January schnook.
Absolutely, we'll take it, right? Okay, to start us off, I wanted to talk about something that happened yesterday. That's, of course, a story that we've been following for some time at energeticcity.ca. Caribou recovery and closures in the backcountry. You guys had a committee of the whole meeting yesterday. Laurie Ackerman was there, Mayor of Fort St. John, the Mayor of Tumbler Ridge, Mayor of Dawson. Basically everybody was at this meeting. And you had a long discussion about closures in the backcountry and how the government said they had consultations with you as some of the stakeholders before they made their decisions about kind of what areas were going to be closed in their effort to protect caribou habitat. The sentiment was that you were ignored in these discussions. Did the government's response surprise you, or were you kind of expecting this to happen? What do you think?
Well, one, it wasn't in the committee of the whole meeting, Doug. It was in the regional board meeting.
My apologies.
No problem. It did come as a surprise to us. I mean, when you consider it was put out a couple of days before Christmas, was there ever really some robust conversation with the district or its members? And according to some of the comments yesterday at the meeting, including the members. No, there wasn't. When you consider all the time and work that the Snowmobile Association and clubs put into it, according to them, none of their concerns were listened to, or even their comments. So, yeah, we're very disappointed over just the way the process went, and just no proper, robust conversation with us. So, the board has directed us to send the province a letter. We are very unhappy with what happened, and they state in there that 30 to 70% of the backcountry isn't in closure, but there's no access to it. And how do you get there? How are they going to govern this? Who's monitoring it? Mm-hmm. Those conversations weren't had. The socioeconomic studies, they're still ongoing. They were never completed, but yet decisions have been made without really informing us, other than, here's the decision and we're going to go ahead with it. So, yeah, we're very disappointed over that. It has a great impact, just not on what, they're proposing, but it's future issues. Is there going to be any consultation or discussion on other subjects? It becomes very disheartening. And, like I said yesterday, we work hard at trying to get our residents and communities involved in different issues and having the conversation to help guide us. And when things like this come out, it deters future involvement from the public. They throw up their hands and say, well, you're not listening to us anyways. And it's tough. So it's just not the one issue. It's everything that goes on.
Okay. You mentioned that you're going to pen a letter to the government expressing your disappointment. Is that kind of the only tool you have in your bag in this, or is there other steps you can take in the future to kind of make the government listen to you?
Well, other than advocating and doing this, it is really the only tool that's in our tool bag. We're local government, and we don't give up. You just got to keep trying, but really that is all we have, is to advocate on behalf of our residents and businesses and not give up, whether it's constant letters or trying to get meetings. I'm not sure what else we can do, but we can't give up on this. We have to express our citizens and our businesses' concerns.
Okay. I want to talk about health care for a bit, because, of course,
sure.
Members of the Peace River Regional District, of course, access health care services, mostly, I would say, in Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, kind of the bigger centers around. You guys established some scholarships and bursaries to help encourage people to go into the healthcare profession and to help them out kind of with their tuition and whatnot. You also voted last year in favor of pushing for an audit of Northern Health, something I believe you've been kind of asking for some time as part of your new Memorandum of Understanding with Northern Health. Can you tell us a bit about that and whether or not you've heard from the government if that's going to actually happen, if they are going to audit Northern Health in the future?
Well, let's start with the good part. Our scholarship program, actually last year we went to referendum for health care related services for not-for-profits. And of course, one thing we're proud of all of it, but the one thing we're very proud of is the district healthcare scholarship program. Mm-hmm. It's for professional development, furthering RNs, LPNs, care aid workers. Just offhand, in September, our last outtake, there were 11 recipients. So, we really feel good. We're doing that part, our part for the healthcare up here, with those programs up here, and as much as we can help, you got a better chance of those people staying in this area. And, hopefully they're all from this area and will stay here and live here. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, this last fall, the nursing school, the baccalaureate nursing school, first cohort is taking place, and I believe there was 12 in the class, 12 or 13. and the district and its members work very hard at getting that program up here too. So, this district is going above and beyond what they can for the residents when it comes to health care. Now, for the audit that we've asked for, healthcare is an issue all over. Even before COVID, it was an issue everywhere, and even more so in rural and remote parts of provinces. And we've asked for an audit because we need to understand. We need someone to show, how does it work? Are we getting our share of what we're putting into it? How are they recruiting? Why? What is the problem with retention? That's what we're asking for this audit for, so we can properly advocate and understand how the system works.
One other quick question, kind of in your interactions with the provincial government, I wanted to ask about. MLA Davies was on in December. He talked a bit about the government's lack of a plan for cleaning up the area north of Fort St. John that was hit by a severe storm at the end of June, kind of in the Red Creek area and whatnot. I wanted to know if that's something you as the PRRD have had any discussions with the government about, or, is this something that MLA Davies is basically bringing to the government along with you to say, we need to do this. You guys got to come up with something.
Well, we need both of them.
Yeah.
This really is in Dan's bailiwick. But last summer I did have a conversation with the minister, and they were aware of what happened, and it was the Red Creek area, the Prescott area, Buick, around the Blueberry, the Doyak. Those areas have to be cleaned up. With the wildfires and the floods and everything that goes on, if those areas aren't cleaned up, you're just inviting a disaster. And they said they would come up before spring and have a look at it. I have asked MLA Davies for a meeting on this and a few other things, and I'm hoping to get that done. But yeah, we are very concerned, especially when it comes to the wildfire season. You're just inviting a disaster.
Okay. One final question for you, Brad. Just kind of, and we've got just about a minute left, I should say. What are you most looking forward to doing this year in your work with the PRRD? What's something that you're hoping comes up, or that you're able to maybe look at this year that's, kind of anything you happen to do with the PRRD? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I think we had a very good year last year with all things considered with COVID. We moved a lot of programs forward, and we want to continue doing that. Building our relationships with our First Nations neighbors, as hard as that is to do with COVID and can't get in person, it's very slow and very cumbersome and awkward for a lot of us. But we have signed MOUs in 2020 with the Salto. Last year we signed one with the Moberly Lake. We want to continue on building those relationships because we're all here. We're not going anywhere. We need to move together. I think that's a huge, huge part of what the district is really want to aim for this coming year. Another thing, of course, is to continue to understand and put pressure on the province to improve the healthcare system in this area. I guess those are the largest things that we really. There will be more specific area programs that we'll want to work on, but I would say those are the two big things that we have to work on because they're all economy based. We need those relationships with our First Nations neighbors. We need proper health care in order to retain people up into this area and build a strong economy.
All right, Brad. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, anytime.
Absolutely. That's Brad Sperling, the board chair of the Peace River Regional District.